Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over Tesla, let's go over the market and talk about what has happened today and what we can expect, of course, as usual, moving forward. So all that being said and done, if you enjoy this video, don't forget to hit that like button, especially if you find it useful, helpful, or whatever. This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. And of course, my membership section is live. The link is down below in the description of this video. For just $2.99 a month, you get access to all my intraday thoughts, posts, updates, technical analysis, options flows on Tesla every single day that the market is open. So if you're interested in getting that kind of information pretty much every single day, then, well, that link is below for just $3 a month. But let's jump into it. Tesla closing the day down almost 2% on the day, closing just above $174 per share, which compared to the market is obviously going to be a pretty decent underperformance. But, like I said, Tesla has had overperformances, the past few days. Now it's having an underperformance. That's why you always want to take these things with, the grain of salt. Tesla tends to usually move in its own little world, right? Whether or not the indices are performing or cooperating or not, really. So just keep that in mind. A lot of people put too much weight as to Tesla following the indices, right? QQQ, SPY, etc. When a lot of the time, well, it just does its own. It's been doing its own thing for quite some time. So just keep that in mind, right? Don't put too much. It has some influence, of course, but people put too much, in my opinion at least, too much influence on the correlation there. But nonetheless, jumping into it though, Tesla is in a pretty interesting spot. So CPI came in today lighter than expected, which was good. We had an pre-market pump, which we can actually take a look at here really quickly. Let me go to the 1 hour chart even, right? Take a look at, that's not what I wanted. I wanted to do this, right? Take a look at that pre-market pump. You can see right here, this was that CPI candle right here. And then we pretty much sold off extremely aggressively, pretty much as the market opened, really, right? We lost a lot of those gains pre-market, pretty much like almost instantly. It's a bit more of a severe sell-off than I personally expected there, honestly. But what I did expect and what has been playing out is, well, what I said yesterday, how I personally wanted to see a retest down sometime this week. I said, I don't know when, could be today, could be tomorrow, could be Friday. Clearly it was today. Pretty much down to the levels we did, and potentially even a little bit lower. Like there's the potential we go even a little bit lower, down to closer to 172. Today's low was what? Today's low was 173.11, right? Honestly, even down like an extra dollar below that wouldn't completely shock me. Why? Well, pretty much for the reasons I mentioned the other day, right? So there's three main factors I'm looking at here in terms of what I'm looking for that retest here to kind of occur and to hold, importantly, of course, to hold and to kind of, build that base to move on even higher moving forward, maybe even into next week, right? First and foremost, obviously we have that bull flag, right? We have this very obvious looking bull flag right here, the green lines over here that we were setting up for quite some time, right? It took like what, 2 weeks or something like that right here, right? As we kind of bled down very, very slowly, right? And then pretty much just yesterday we broke out, beautiful breakout. Obviously got rejected at that 180-ish level, right? Which is, like I said many times, 178 to like 183, like roughly that point range, right? Is a massive area of resistance of supply, right? And we got rejected by that. We got rejected by it again today, even though we went a little bit higher. But what we did was we came back and retested that bull flag, which is, good. So far we held, right? Technically, we didn't get exactly to it, but it was pretty close. Like maybe we go a little bit lower, but pretty darn close. I'm not going to lie. Top of that, we of course also have this volume profile retest, right? This is another very important thing. We have this volume profile retest that we did hold so far pretty darn successfully. And of course, the final thing, which is also just ever so slightly below us, like I said, around 172, is that gap fill from 2 days ago, right? On, I believe, Monday's gap up, or I guess technically Tuesday's gap up, if you will, right? But the gap that was left from Monday's close into Tuesday's opening, right? Which is sitting at about 172. So those are still the levels that I can, I would not be surprised if, honestly, even sometime this week, like tomorrow, maybe we do come down to about 172. But the thing I want to see from a bullish perspective is I want to see these levels hold. I want to see this bull flag retest hold. So far, it's been holding. Not the most convincing close, right? The wick at the bottom is not a massive wick, so it could have been more convincing. We did sell off closer towards the end of the day because we were trading around 175 the majority of the day. Obviously, we're at 174. So, could have been a little bit more convincing on that close. I'm not going to lie. But, so far, we're roughly holding-ish where we needed to, right? Because we did pretty much go sideways the vast majority of the day. You can see right here. So at least there's that. We are roughly holding this level the majority of the day because this initial sell-off was pretty much the first like 30 minutes to 1 hour of the day. And then the whole day, the rest of the day, we pretty much just went sideways, right? So we're holding. We're holding the volume profile so far. And we're, of course, somewhat holding that the gap fill. We didn't really get to the gap fill at 172, but we're pretty close. We're pretty darn close to it, right? So the idea here that from a bullish perspective, I want to see these levels. I want to see this low 170-ish level hold, like 172, give or take, of course, right? But between 170 to like 175, I guess, but like closer to 172-ish. That's the level I want to see hold. If that level holds, I'm bullish. I'm thinking Tesla's good, and I think this bull flag just pretty much plays out. Like it's a very textbook bull flag that happened on descending volume. Now that volume, at least yesterday's candle on the breakout, did kind of reignite that volume. It did kind of go obviously higher than the recent median volume, which is good, right? The average volume. So that's a good sign that you want to see. The volume could have been better though yesterday. Honestly, it wasn't as great as I would have liked to see, but nonetheless it did increase, which is still a good sign. So that's good. But essentially, I want to see that level hold, and I want to see that continuation move to the upside. Maybe next week, maybe sometime towards the end of the month, maybe it'll wait until June. I don't know, but I do think that continuation should continue upwards as long as these levels hold. Now, obviously, let's talk about, well, let's just say these levels don't hold. What if we do not hold these levels? What if we do break down below? What are the levels to watch out for? Well, pretty much the same as I mentioned before, right? Again, the first levels to watch out for is about this 172 to 170-ish level. That's number one. We lose that, we come down to the low of the day we had, what is this, last Friday, right? Which is pretty much around that 168-ish level. If that loses, then we come down to my 163 to 160 level. And that pretty much needs to hold, in my opinion, to really maintain any bullish aspect, right? Because the way I look at it is, as long as we're above 160, in my opinion, ideally above 170, but even above 160, in my opinion, Tesla's still bullish on the short to medium term time frame, the overall, the trend, I guess, if you will, if that makes sense, right? The trajectory of the stock and the chart and the way it looks to me, it looks bullish, right? So that's number one, as long as we're above 160. Now, if we lose 160, that's where things don't really get bearish, in my opinion, but they don't really get bullish anymore. You go into a neutral state. And what I mean by neutral state is that it's really not bullish or bearish. And the reason I say that is because, in my opinion, between 160 to pretty much about the, low-ish 140s, it's kind of a limbo land. And why is it a limbo land? Because, well, the structure is no longer really all that bullish, but it's not really necessarily all that bearish just yet, because if we lose low 140s and we lose this green trend line on the weekly, for instance, that we did bounce off of on earnings, of course, well, that's when things start getting bearish, right? We didn't, which is a good sign. But if we do, that's bad. If we recapture 160, then we resume that bullish potential trend. So that's kind of the way I look at it, right? In terms of that downside levels. Now, for the upside levels, the way I look at it is also pretty simple, right? I mean, first of all, we're still holding the 172 level, which is good. So I'm still bullish on that end. But what I want to see now is I want to see the high of today's and yesterday's daily candles pretty much above 180 at least start to break. Sometime, maybe this week, probably next week though, I want to see these levels start to break, and I really want to see that, low to mid 180s recaptured, and especially starting to close daily candles above about 185 will be the ideal scenario, which is all the way up here. If we start closing daily candles above about 185, that to me should reignite the spark, and that should take us back up to about, at the very least, this high over here of about $200 per share, if not all the way up to about $205 per share. That's kind of the way I'll be looking at it. So in my projection, if you will, sometime probably in June, right? The kind of base case scenario, assuming this bullish scenario plays out, is 205. I think 205 in June is very probable, assuming, of course, we, like I said, don't lose those structures I just talked about to the downside, right? We hold those important key levels. As long as those hold, I think 205 is like my base case, really, right? But my bull case for June, assuming, of course, all that holds that I mentioned, the bullish structure, is going to be to this red trend line all the way up here, which is going to be putting us at sometime in June close to about $220 to $230 per share, somewhere in that rough range, which is going to be my bull case scenario. And then from there, we'll have to revisit it, reevaluate it, see, do we get rejected by this red trend line again, or do we finally break above it as you kind of zoom out over here, right? Which of these main levels, the top red trend line or the bottom green trend line, breaks first? Obviously, whichever one breaks, well, you're probably going to be going in that respective direction, whether it's a bullish or bearish break and continuation, right? So that's kind of the main picture. Like, that's the massive overall major picture that you want to be looking for. But short term, you guys know what to look for. You kind of understand the drill, right? So keep that in mind, right? In terms of the daily, whether we're oversold, overbought, whatever, we're pretty much neutral. We're not really overbought or oversold, especially with today's close, right? The median line is pretty much sitting right around this 172-ish level, which is right on that volume profile, the gap fill, and the retest of the bull flag. So we're pretty much sitting in, kind of not really overbought, but not really oversold territories, which is, I guess, a good sign, right? You can see this gap up this morning. It did put us once again into extreme overbought territory, and we obviously sold off right back. Look where we went to, exactly to this white line once again. We did kind of lose it a little bit on, towards the end of the last hour here, you can see. So, definitely showing a little bit of weakness, which is why it wouldn't super surprise me to go lower. But the one thing that is a little bit worrisome for me, the one thing that is kind of kind of like that rotten apple in the basket, if it makes sense, right, is going to be this bullish engulfing potential pattern right here, right? These two candles that we have today, sorry, bearish engulfing. Today and yesterday, this red candle is engulfing the previous candle on a very mini uptrend. So it's not like a massive uptrend, but nonetheless, it is a short-term bearish engulfing candle, where this candle right here, this red candle, fully engulfs the previous green-white candle, right? That's not a good sign. That to me that's technically a bearish reversal signal. But like I said many times before, these signals don't mean anything until, of course, you get some form of follow through. If we get follow through, then obviously it might mean something. If we don't, then we don't. So we'll see how tomorrow plays out in terms of that aspect. But it is technically a bearish engulfing candle. Technically not the best thing to see here, but because it's on such a short uptrend, I mean, we barely rose since this kind of uptrend. Bearish engulfing came in to like technically revert the uptrend. I can't imagine it being too crazy, but we'll see, and we'll play it level by level. You guys know the levels to look out for and all that stuff. So just take it level by level, really, day by day, level by level, right? The weekly time frame, still looking pretty decent. Stochastic still looks pretty damn good. RSI is looking okay. MACD is still flirting with a bullish crossover. There's only 2 more days left in the week, so if we can kind of confirm the Friday close and the weekly closure candle and this bullish crossover, could be a good sign. Obviously, we had false breakouts like this before in the past, but this happened at a much higher level. Technically, at this level down here, in my opinion, it should be a bit more convincing. So we'll see how it plays out. But with all that being said and done, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button. And as per usual, I will see you tomorrow. Peace.